Hello Stampers! My name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. In a previous video in my series on this Sending Love bundle that is new in the Occasions catalog, I had threatened to do an intricate die out of the busiest paper I could find, and someone wrote back to me and said, please do that. So here's my video with that design. And so what we need to make this card is we need a couple pieces. I did mine out of a real red card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of Whisper White, and that's one for the inside and one for the outside. And these are cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Then in this case, we need a piece of white scrap. I'm going to change this up. I'm not as happy with the way this one came out, so I'm going to do this on white with red ink and see what I think about that. Then we need a piece of real red scrap to cut out the little flowers, and then we have the DSP, and this is the busiest paper I found in there, and so this is what I cut my heart out of. And this comes from this beautiful paper suite called Sending Love Designer Series paper. There's 8 designs here, 6 sheets, double-sided, 6 sheets of each design. And there's just all kinds of really pretty papers in here. But I kind of liked this whole notion of this really busy one and cutting the heart out of that. So that's what I did. And so you need a piece of this. Now the way I put this on here, here's my die. And the die is from the Bloomin' Hearts Thinlit dies. In the this is in the main catalog because this was introduced, I think, last year. And so what I did to get the maximum out of this, because this heart is pretty big, and you can see if I place it on the paper this way, you'll really only get one heart. So I tucked it into the corner here, and I managed to be able that way to get 2 hearts out of each piece of Designer Series paper. And let's talk about that. So what I used for this particular die to cut the image out, let me move this out of the way. For this you need your Big Shot platform, your thin die adapter, and then you need your precision base plate printed side down, then your paper. In this case, it would have been this paper, and your die, and 1 cutting plate on top. When a die is really intricate like this, this base plate makes all the difference in the world in being able to get a nice clean image. And I ran this one through, and you can see on the back of this, it's cut and it's starting to already come apart, but I wanted to show it in the die and how easy it is to get out. So that was what I used to cut that. Now for everything else that I cut, that is the little flowers here, this label piece here, and this inside. I used the normal cutting setup, which is the Big Shot platform, the thin die adapter, and 2 cutting plates. So let me show you exactly what I did to set up the inside piece. And so I used this, one of the pieces that I cut, and I set this die just so that the edge comes right to the edge of the paper, and centered that top to bottom, and then used another cutting plate on top. Ran that one through the Big Shot, and let's see if I can show you what happens when you do that. This is the result. So this is what we get when we have this, and that has these little articulated hearts which are scored to fold up, and if you can see that, there's score marks kind of inside the little hearts. So it makes it real easy to lift these little hearts and get some dimension on them. And that was the result of using this through the Big Shot. Okay, so that's what I did to cut that. Then I cut the other thing I used was this die. This die comes from the Rose Garden Thinlits set, and it's just a little label. And as it turns out, it is absolutely perfect for the sentiment that I wanted to use on this. Let me find that. There it is. And this is what I cut out. So I used a stamp, did some stamping on the inside of it, this Hello Love, and all of the stamps that I used for this project came out of the Sending Love, or Sealed with Love stamp set. Now this is available in the bundle. This is 27 dies in this set, and there's just everything in the world you can imagine here in the way of stamps. And then it also comes with a Love Notes framelit dies, and when you buy this as a bundle, you save 10%. So this has 27 stamps, this has 14 dies, and they're just really, really pretty cute, different, and kind of fun. So this is what I used to cut out this, and then let's see, what else did I cut out? I think that's it. The only other thing that I did was I did use, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. I did use on this card an embossing folder, the Petal Burst folder, and I have that here, that it is possible even cutting that slim a border all the way around to get the pattern to come out on all sides of the paper. And the result of that was this embossed sheet. And I just love this embossing folder. It really works for an awful lot of things. So that's what you get when you run this through the Big Shot. I mean, through the Big Shot using the embossing folder. All right, let's get on with putting this card, making it and putting this together. So I've already, as you can see, cut out all of my pieces. What I wanted to show on this heart was when you use that precision base plate and you run your die through, this is the foam mat and the die brush that is available through Stampin' Up. And this just causes the die to release and the little sheets to come out in absolutely pristine order. Very impressive how this little tool works. And when I lift this up, my paper is going to fall away, and you can see that it's pulled all of the paper off of the die, and here's the die itself. And I think that everything has been cut out, and we can tell, oh, there's one piece and it just fell out. So this cuts absolutely beautifully to get your die out of the die. And if you'll remember in years past how challenging that could be. And this, between that precision base plate and this die brush, it's amazing how well this all works these days. Okay, so let's get together and put this thing together so we can see exactly what we're doing here. All right, let me get back to my base here, and I want to fold and burnish my score lines here. Then I want to take my piece of embossed white card here, and I'm going to adhere that flat on the front of this card. And so I'll be using some adhesive, some snail here to do that. And because it's embossed, I think it's important to add a little extra glue on the back, because not all surfaces hit the card, and you want this to be good and secure. So this is one where I err on the side of maybe a little bit more glue than I would ordinarily put on a card. And so I'm going to take this. Oh, one last thing I wanted to do. I did use a corner rounder on this piece. I kind of like the idea of this edge being just slightly rounded. And so I used a corner rounder there on that. And then laid this down so that I had, oops, such a challenge to get things on here exactly straight the way you want them. That should do it. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, so on my heart, what I did was I used dimensionals on the back of this heart to get it lifted up. And what I did was this heart on the back of it, this pattern, you'll see has a couple of places where there's a bigger flower and 3 smaller flowers, but they're pretty decent size. And so you can get a full or a half a dimensional on those pieces. And so that's what I did. I put a full dimensional in the center of each of these large hearts. And then I used the bones here along the slim side of the dimensionals, because these little ends are about a half. And so I used 3 of these on these larger flowers. Then while it's painstaking, it is definitely worth to have this thing properly supported, to cut little tiny slivers of dimensionals along this edge and get them put so that this heart is fully supported on this card base. And so I cut a whole bunch of them off, and I used my tweezers to pick them up and find a place where they fit. And I think that's probably enough, so that, I think you can see that, so that you can see that I've kind of spread them around, some along the edges, so that they would stick to the, help keep the edges of this down. So I didn't want to stay on. There it goes. Okay, so, and then when I placed this on the card base, I placed it kind of high up on the face of this card, because I wanted some additional decoration there along the bottom. There, I think I've gotten them all. Okay, now then, placing this right up here at the top of my card, and there it's lifted up just enough but secure enough that I think that won't come loose and is pretty well supported. Okay, now on this card, when I did it, I put some gold ribbon across the bottom, and I'll show you another version I did where I did the reverse. I did this in gold and the base in white, and I ended up not being as happy with it, but I'll show it to you in the end, and so you can see what you think about all of them. So the next thing would be these little flowers that I cut out with these little dies from this set that had the heart in it. The, what's it called? I had it here a second ago. The Lumen Hearts. Lumen Heart, that's it. And so it also comes with these two little flowers. And so I punched those out because I've tried them in lots of different color combinations, but I liked the red the best. So I have cut out a couple of these larger reds and 3 of the little reds, and I used glue dots to put these on because my plan is to put either, in this case I put pearls, and on another one I put rhinestones, and there's a little hole, as you can see, cut right in the middle of that flower, and if you use a glue dot and you get your glue dot right in the center of this flower, when it picks up the glue dot, you're going to have a little glue peeking out of that hole, and it'll help hold your piece in place. And so I did just kind of lift these flower petals a bit and then place that right in the center of the big flower for that one, and on the little ones as well. And so let me continue to put those on, again using glue dots to help me with both this and the next step. So there, and they don't have to match perfectly to be on here the exact shape of that. In fact, it's kind of fun to see the other part kind of poking through there. And so now the little ones, and again the glue dot, and there's a flower there. There is, and I'm just giving this a little dimension by pushing it into my palm, and then picking up a glue dot and then putting it in place. And there's one up here, and then one last one. Let's see, and the last one is right down here. Okay. And there we have the flowers in place. Then this product is a new product out of the Occasions catalog, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this ribbon. It is got this gold thread through it, and you get it in gold and silver. I think it's $7 for 2 rolls, and 1 roll is gold and 1 is silver. And in fact, I just realized I made a tactical error by putting this down, because on this card I wrapped that around. And what I did was I set this ribbon just right at the base of the heart. In fact, I lifted it up and had it running right under the tip of the heart. Let me see if I can coax that through. I think I can, so that I can get this ribbon placed along here and tucked in behind. Of course, I would advise you to do this before you got this part done. And let's see if I can coax this end up as well. Looks like I can. And on this card here, I think what I'm going to do is take a couple of glue dots to secure that in place. I don't want that ribbon moving around. I'm going to do one right here in the center. And then I think I'll put one on either side. This ribbon could actually take snail. You can put snail all along the back of it, which is what I did on that one. But since I have to correct my error here, I'm just going to slide these glue dots underneath there. There we go. And on this one, what I did was I put across the top of this ribbon this other piece of gold ribbon that is also in the catalog. This is in the main catalog. And I was just experimenting around with it, but I think this ribbon is enough to hold it on its own. So I'm not going to add that one on this particular one. And I just love that ribbon. It's just so pretty, and it's pretty darn easy to work with too. So the next thing I did was I stamped this stamp from the Sealed with Love, and this is the stamp right here. It says Hello Love, and on this one I stamped it on red using the craft white, but you can see how it faded away, and I even used the Stamp-A-Majig so that I could restamp it a couple times, because I know that white fades a little bit, but it isn't as distinctive as I was hoping it would be. So what I've done is, as you can see, this stamp just fits inside this little label. And then there's a die to cut this label out, which I showed earlier. So I'm going to try putting this one on here and seeing what we think about that. So I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on this and set that down. You'll have to tell me what you think. All right, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to use some pearls here. And I'm going to put some of these largest pearls inside, runaway pearl there, inside the big hearts, the big flowers. And there, and then some of these smaller pearls, I think I've already cut these so I can pull them off. Okay, and that's sitting not only with the glue that it comes on the back of the pearl, but it's sitting in that little hole on a little piece of the glue dot. So that should hold really, really well. All right. And there is that one. Let's set those aside. And there is the front of our card done. So I'm going to move these things out of the way. We've got a little bit more to do on the inside of this card. And what I did was I stamped Happy Valentine's Day from this the same stamp set. And so let's see here. Okay, got my red ink now, and I'm going to move some of this stuff aside and bring out my mat, and we're going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day right up here in the corner. Okay. And I've gotten a little red ink there. I think what I'm going to do, since I cut some extra flowers and hearts, maybe I'll use a little flower or a little heart right in here on the inside to cover that up. What you can always recover from something in stamping. So let's see. Let me get my little hearts that I punched out as well. For the inside of my card, I cut out several different things here. I cut out hearts from the designer series paper to match, and then I had cut out some little hearts also that were from some of the other designer series paper. And so I have plenty of those. So what I can do is just see what looks better. I'm thinking we don't have a flower on the inside of this card, so we're going to add that there and cover that little piece up. Okay, so I'm going to add that there, and maybe we'll put one of those tiny little pearls in there so that it doesn't stand up too much from the inside. And I'm thinking one of these little tiny ones here to come in here and go in that spot. And that covers that up. And then on these hearts, what I had done was put a little design, kind of every other heart on here to just dress it up. And on this card, you can see I used this kind of paper. On this one, I think I am going to use the one that matches the heart on the front. So all I really need to do is kind of fold these down. Let me move my ink out of the way. And I'm going to use a little bit of Tombow to place it right on this heart so I get my glue right where I want it. Right here, and I don't, if you put your glue on the back of this, you're liable to stick it to both the card and the rim. But if you put your glue on the little articulated heart, then this heart will just stick to where there is glue. I'm going to hold that down for just a second and get the next one ready. And put a little glue on that heart. I think this one is now done. And I'm just folding these little hearts in half, just so that I get a little bend so that it matches the bend on the heart that's been cut. I'm going to hold that one in place while I put a little glue on this one. And then fold this one in half and put it in place. Okay. Here we go. So, now then the only thing I have left to do is to put a little bit of snail on the back of this piece, and I'm going to put some along the edge, and I'm going to put a little bit right in between each of these hearts. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow around the edge of this heart border here, so that these little hearts will stick down pretty firmly. The last thing you want is borders peeking out and picking up. Okay. In fact, I think I'll use my tweezers here to get this picked up and help me get it started setting in place anyway. Okay. So now we know that this has been cut with 1/8 of an inch border. So if I can set 3 of the sides, the rest should fall in place. There we go. I'm going to use the back of my tweezers, or my bone folder might even be better, right, to get in here and get those heart rims glued down on the card here. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of glue oozing out there. Use a little baby wipe to get some of that off. And okay, there we go. So there is our card and project for the day. Now, I told you that I had made yet another version, which I have, and I'll show you here. And I'll have to say I like the lighter ones better. So this was the original, or the one that I showed today. This is the one we made today. And then this was the one I did in the reverse. And the big difference here is on these two I used the double layer of ribbon, and I wasn't happy with the way this was coming out, so I did this one in black. And then when I put the rhinestones on this one, there's something about using gold ribbon and using silver rhinestones that bothers me. So I already had the rhinestones down. So what I did was I used my gold Wink of Stella pen, and I went over the hearts to make them gold, or over the rhinestones to make them gold. And I did like the gold look a little bit better, but overall I'd have to say that I like the lighter color on the card itself. And I think the insides, this one I did do a little differently on the inside as well. I used our heart punch and put Happy Valentines, and then rimmed it in red with a little bit of white. And so there's lots of variations on this and lots of things that we do. This one, I really wanted those hearts at the bottom, but the way the punch punches, they're always going to be up here. So, and the only way I could get around that was to cut this out, move this down here, somehow figure out a way to decorate this so that you didn't see the split, and I give up. So there we have the project for the day, another of the Valentines cards using the Sending Love bundle out of the new catalog. So you'll have to let me know what you think about the different ones. And thanks so much for stopping by and visiting my YouTube channel today. If you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Or you could join my team. And I'll be back soon. I've got a box coming up. I promised that I was going to do a top lid folding box, and maybe we'll make it a Valentine's treat box. And then I'm going to start working with the Dragonfly bundle and the bundle that has the hot air balloons. So that's what's coming up next, and so I'll see you soon. Bye.